This is Land of Havilah, Proverbs 9. It begins with a 6-verse invitation to the reader from wisdom to come to her banquet. Verse 1. Wisdom has built her house. She's carved out her 7 pillars. She's prepared her meat. She's mixed her wine. She's also set her table. She's sent out her maidens. She cries from the highest places of the city, "Whoever is simple, let him turn in here." As for him who's void of understanding, she says to him, "Come, eat some of my bread, drink some of the wine which I've mixed. Leave your simple ways and live. Walk in the way of understanding." Comment in verse 1, a feast will be held at wisdom's magnificent mansion with 7 pillars. It's a beautiful and grand place. In verse 7, there will be meat and wine, and in verse 5, bread. So it'll be a grand affair at a grand venue with the best food. The meat, wine, and bread are the proverbs on which we're about to feast, coming up in the rest of the chapter. In verse 3, wisdom has sent her maidservants throughout the city to call out that the banquet is ready. In verses 4 to 6, all the simple are invited to feast on wisdom, leave their simple ways, and walk in understanding. So let's begin feasting now on the proverbs in the coming verses. Verse 7, one who corrects a mocker invites insult. One who reproves a wicked man invites abuse. Don't reprove a scoffer lest he hate you. Reprove a wise person and he'll love you. Instruct a wise person and he'll be still wiser. Teach a righteous person and he'll increase in learning. Comment in verses 7 to 9, one who corrects a mocker invites insult. One who reproves a wicked man invites abuse, end quote. We don't want to be insulted and abused, so let's stay silent when it involves a mocker and a wicked man. But the wise and righteous person will listen to correction. Jesus said something similar about whether to speak up or not speak up. Quote, don't give that which is holy to the dogs, neither throw your pearls before the pigs, lest perhaps they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Matthew 7:6. So if he's a brother, correct him. Matthew 15:18. If he's a pig, a mocker, a wicked man, don't correct him according to this proverb and according to Jesus. When we present the gospel, we don't know when a person will be receptive. We can simply ask if he wants to hear it. If he says no, let's keep it to ourselves. Verse 10. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. The knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Comment, the fear of God is the starting point of wisdom and understanding. Jesus said a man who does what he says can be compared to a man who builds his house on a rock. The house won't collapse, but if he doesn't listen to Jesus, his house will fall every time. So the fear of God isn't just the starting point of wisdom and understanding, it's the only starting point of anything of lasting value. Without God, there's total loss. With him, we're truly established. Speaking of wisdom, verse 11, for by me your days will be multiplied. The years of your life will be increased. If you're wise for yourself. If you mock, you alone will bear it. Comment in verse 12, if you mock wisdom, you'll suffer the consequences. Coming up in the rest of the chapter, which is verses 13 to 18, the other woman makes a reappearance. She competes with the woman wisdom. She wants to be heard also, and just like wisdom, she calls out everywhere. She's the voice of foolishness. She's loud and boisterous. She's something like a prostitute in this passage, calling to us to come into her house. It's not necessarily a house of prostitution, but a house of general foolishness. We can either listen to her calling out everywhere or the voice of wisdom calling out everywhere. Verse 13. The foolish woman is loud, undisciplined, and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house, on a seat in the high places of the city, to call to those who pass by, who go straight on their ways. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. As for him who's void of understanding, she says to him, stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is pleasant. But he doesn't know that the departed spirits are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Comment, the house of foolishness is a house of horrors and the gate of hell, so we shouldn't answer the voice of foolishness that lures us in there. This is in contrast to the magnificent house of wisdom in the opening verses of the chapter, where there's feasting and where we've also been invited. We could listen to foolishness or wisdom. Proverbs 10 is next.